Apparently, you guys are ready to learn how to insert gradient into text with Canva. And I'm not talking about letter frames. I'm talking about a gradient into any text using any font. So, should we do this? What is up everyone, Ronnie here. Welcome back to the channel. Super happy to be here with you today. Like every week, really, we create 2 new videos every week. So one from me, one from Diana. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss the good stuff. Now, today's episode is going to be about inserting a gradient into your text, any custom font, any font you might want to use in Canva, not just a letter frame. So yeah, last week I posted this post on the community tab of our YouTube channel, asking you a very simple question. Can we do this? Adding a gradient into text with Canva. A lot of you thought it was not possible to do this with Canva. I thought it was not possible to do this with Canva even like a week ago. But then I stumbled across a video on one of my good friends, fellow YouTubers YouTube channel, Robson Bolivar. So Robson is a Canva expert, just like Diana and I, and he creates Canva tutorial in Portuguese, in Brazilian, for the Brazilian market. So Robson actually has this awesome tutorial where he explains this trick on how to get a gradient into any kind of text. So I thought, that would be cool to bring to our audience, to you guys, right? Because maybe you don't speak Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, but I thought, let's do it. So today we are going to jump into Canva to create exactly that. One thing you need to know though is that for this tutorial, you will need the background remover, okay? So you need to have a Canva Pro account in order to follow along this specific tutorial. If you don't have a Pro account, I will leave a link in the description for you to have access to our affiliate link, which will give you 45 days of free trial for Canva Pro. The link will be in the description for you so that you can follow along. This is the final result, and this is also the final result. We'll learn how to do this with both like fonts that are kind of bold and bigger and other ones that are handwritten fonts. So let's jump into Canva and get started. All right, so we are going to start this project from the Canva homepage, and I'm going to create a 1:1 aspect ratio document, kind of like the Instagram post, but I think I'm going to use a larger canvas, not just roll with the 1080 by 1080 pixel. I think I want something larger, so the resolution of my final text with the gradient will be higher. So I'm gonna double the 1080 by 1080, and I'm gonna have a 2160 by 2160. So for that, I'm going to just use the custom size button right here and type in 2160 by 2160 pixels and create the new design. Okay. So there will be a couple of steps to this tutorial. The first one is to create your text, okay? So you will create a text box, a normal text box. So I'm gonna use my T key on my keyboard. I'm gonna make this text box bigger and type in here pretty much anything. So I'm going to use the same sentence I used on the community post, which was design your life. Design your life. Okay, and then from here you can choose pretty much your font. Okay, so there is a font that I would like to use, a font that I use for my personal brand and that we use on the YouTube channel, Montserrat Semi Bold. Okay, and I'm gonna bold that even more. Maybe I'm going to reduce the spacing between the letters, design your life, and I'm gonna make that bigger, so that it touches the safe zone right here. Okay, so you have this text, it looks good. Now this is step 1. Step number 2 will be to create your gradient or to find a gradient that you like. So you have 2 options here. You can go with a custom gradient, meaning a gradient that you will customize. In order to find these custom gradients, head over your Elements tab right here and type in gradient. Okay, gradient, but instead of photos, you will go and search on the graphics tab. Okay, so you have 3 types of gradients. The first one is a gradient that fades to transparency. You don't want this one. The second one is a squared gradient. Okay, so if you click on this one, you'll see it has two different colors that you can adjust. Okay, I can change the colors for every one of these color buttons. So I'll keep this one here. And then the third option that you have is this one, which is the same thing, but it has 3 colors. And so you have a little bit more customization options. You can add another color. So my idea was to kind of go with something that resembles the Canva color. I really like this gradient right here in the top navigation bar, or what we have in the Canva logo. So if I search for Canva under elements, I can find their gradient logo. So I can find this one. And you can see basically what Canva does here in their logo is what we're trying to achieve with this tutorial. So if I really want to reproduce something like this kind of color scheme, I could simply get inspired by their color choices here, the 3 colors that they use in this element right here, which lets you customize the colors as well. So what I could do, because this is a 3-color gradient and this element has 3 colors, I could use the copy style button, copy it from here and paste it here. And there we go. Now we have this gradient right here with the Canva colors. And if I flip this around like so, you can see now kind of like a similar color scheme on both sides. Okay, so I could work with this. I could work with the 2-color gradient as well. It's really up to you. Okay, so for now, let's work with the 3-color one. Okay, so I'm gonna delete these. I'm gonna delete this one as well. Now you have this, okay, this element, this gradient, it's a square. You can just stretch it. Okay, so I'm gonna put it here in the corner and make it full screen. Okay, if you want the gradient to be a little bit more subtle, for example, here I can see that it's kind of hard, the lighter blue color, like the contrast between these, I mean, it could be more diffused. So there is a way to make this softer. You double click on it and you will zoom in, okay? And then you can move it to your taste. So it's a little bit softer and you can do this as much as you want until you have the desired effect. You see, like you can move that part, but you can only do that if you zoom in. So let me zoom out on my canvas and make this even bigger. And now I have more space, I would say, more options for my gradient. I'm gonna leave it like so. So what I'm going to do is to grab my text here, Control or Command C to copy it, and then I'm going to Command V this on this page right here. And I'm going to change the text color to white. Okay, so let's go for white. All right, now the next step, once we have our text box, we made it white, is to add some transparency to this text box, okay? So I'm going to use, with my text box selected, the transparency button right here. And I'm going to make this 42%, okay? So 42%, so you can see that we can see the gradient a little bit like through my text, through my white text, which is now 42% transparent. Okay, this looks good. Now, all I have to do is to export this thing. Okay, so I have my gradient, I have my text box. All right, so just go to your share button, go to downloads and make sure you export page 2 only. Okay, so PNG, done. So I'm using the PNG format. You could boost the size of this PNG to its maximum if you want. I think the higher the dimensions here, the highest the resolution will be. I'm fine with 2160 by 2160, which is already quite a high resolution. Don't use transparent background. You want that background right now. So just make sure you are only exporting page 2. Okay. Now Canva will download this. There we go. It's right here. So now I can grab this design, drop it here in my uploads. I'm going to create a new page. Okay, page 3 right here, and I'm going to import my gradient, my design. So I can scale it down a little bit so I keep only my text right here, and I can make this bigger if I want to, though I can resize after. Now this is where you are going to be needing Canva Pro, because you need to run the background remover on this image. Okay, so you select your image and you go Edit Image, Background Remover. Okay, so this works most of the time, okay? So it is possible that at this stage it will not work. It might be that Canva will not pick up your background, or it might be like in this case, you will still have a little bit of cleaning up to do, okay? I prefer to show you exactly how it's happening to me, and pray to God, this is gonna work. Let's see. It's not working. Because sometimes it works fine. I could have decided to show you only the times it works fine, but I'm pretty confident that you might run into the same issue. So I prefer to show you the entire thing so you know what to do from here. So right here, we do have a little bit of cleaning up to do around the E and S letters. So how do you clean that up? With the brushes, okay? So without clicking outside, without clicking on apply, you will want to use the erase button right here to get rid of the extra little things right here, like the background that we can still see in the background of this text, okay? So I'm gonna click on erase, and this is what I see. So first I'm gonna want to zoom in and then move this. Oops, it snapped. You see, if this happens to you, no worries, just click on edit image, run the background remover again, and then you will have access to these brushes again. So no big deal. I just want to show you the different bugs that might happen to you while doing this. So click on the eraser brush. And then zoom in. Okay, you see it snapped again, so no worries. What I'm seeing is that the background remover is starting to work. So this will actually make my life easier. So let's run it again. Maybe if I run it 100 times, it will completely delete the background that is kind of left over here. So it seems to have a problem when I zoom in. You see, it erased it a little bit more. So I guess now it's gonna be much easier actually for me to do this. So let's click on erase. Let's use the smallest brush possible. You see, but I still need to zoom in because this is way too big. So let's make it 500. Let me see if I can, without this snapping, access this. Almost. Where is my, yeah, it's here. Okay, perfect. Now I can delete the leftover background, being very gentle and precise. And you see, because I did run the background remover a couple of times, it actually helped me detach these letters. And now it's quite easy for me to do a clean job here with the eraser tool. Okay, so I'm just making sure I'm not touching my letters and simply deleting the leftover background right here, the blue background. Okay, and when you get closer to the letter, I suggest you go gentler because you don't want to touch that letter. Okay, so here there's a little bit. And you can go click by click, so if I release, you see I can click by click. Okay, so I think I'm done here. I think I did a pretty good job at cleaning this up. So I'm going to apply the changes by clicking on Done first, and then clicking on Apply. And now I can zoom out back to my original size, and you see this looks pretty clean to me. I can zoom in a bit to see this part. It's a little bit jagged, but I believe if I run the background remover again on this thing, it will help. So that's always an option. You can always run it one last time and apply it. And there we go. So this is what we have so far. I can resize this again. And the result will vary slightly between the different types of fonts that you're using and the different types of backgrounds that you're using. But from here, at this scale, I would say this did a pretty decent job. I could have cleaned the S a little bit better. But the last step, because there is one last step, to continue improving on this gradient is to edit the image, okay? So I click on edit image and I'm gonna go to my adjust buttons right here, my adjust settings, okay? So I'm gonna reduce the brightness slightly. I'm going to boost the contrast. You see now it comes to life. This gradient comes back to life. Add some saturation and maybe a little bit of vibrance as well. Adding some vibrance and maybe getting rid of some of the highlights. And now you can see this gradient really coming to life, and this is how you achieve this effect. Now, this was a little bit messy, I agree, but I wanted to keep all the problems you might run into. Okay, so there are actually 3 potential problems you might run into. But I mean, you guys want gradient into text, which is not a feature Canva offers, so we have to use hacks. And sometimes when you use a hack, there is problems. And instead of showing you the perfect version after trying 55 times, I prefer to show you live what types of problems you might run into. The first problem might be that your background remover doesn't pick up the background. That is probably because there's not enough contrast between your background and your image, okay? The second type of problem is what we had right there, is that you will still have a little bit of background that you will have to erase using the eraser tool. And then the third type of problem I ran into was when I was trying to use the eraser tool for erasing that extra background. Sometimes when you zoom in, it snaps, and then I have to run the background remover again. Okay, so these are the 3 potential problems you might run into. Now, let me show you how to achieve something similar, but this time with a handwritten font. So I'm gonna use the same text, design your life, like this sentence. So I'm gonna create a new page, paste that, and I'm gonna change the font for a handwritten font that I like. It's called Beach Resort. Beach Resort, there we go. Okay, design your life in Beach Resort. I'm gonna make that big, like so. And this time I'm gonna search for a gradient, which is a photo. Okay, I'm not gonna create my own gradient. I'm gonna go for photos and find something here that looks good. Okay, so what do we have? I will go for something a bit darker this time, so I actually have a chance of this working. So let's try this one. This should work fine. So I have my photo right here. I'm just gonna right click on it, set image as background. Then same thing, using that, making it white, giving this 42% transparency, okay? And then position it where you want it, okay? You can also decide what part of the gradient you wish to have in your text. So I guess somewhere here would be nice. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna export this page 4. Okay, clicking on the share button, export. I don't want all pages, I want page 4. Done, and download. Let's go for this one, see how it works. Okay, it's right here. Let's upload this again. And you see when I'm doing it at the full speed, it's really not that long to create this kind of graphics. Okay, so scaling this up and then running the background remover. Let's see. Quite curious here. Yeah, you see this one worked perfectly. Maybe there's a little bit right here that I could erase. So let's see. Let's zoom in. You see this right here? If you want to get rid of it, you could do that. Like so. Yeah, this is good. I'm gonna click on done and apply. Now I'm gonna zoom back out by using the fit. Apply, and there we go. We have our text with gradient. Now the last step, don't forget the last step. Our friend right here on the community tab figured out all the steps, but he missed the last step, which is actually very important if you want this gradient to come to life. Okay, edit image one last time, adjust button, and then decrease the brightness, increase the contrast. Actually here we could bring some light into this design, increase the saturation. Saturation is super important for gradients. Look at how lively this has become already. And then some vibrance maybe, and then a little bit less shadows. And there you go, you have your beautiful gradient in your handwritten font. Okay, so I'm glad that this last one went without a problem. I had almost nothing to correct. So this is how you do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, leave us a like. Let us know what you want to learn next on our channel. I'm always happy to create the tutorials that you want, the things that you want to learn. So yeah, let us know. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. I'm gonna leave another video right here for you to learn something else in Canva, something completely different this time. So try it out. And also there will be a link to our 45 days free trial for Canva Pro, because you will need Canva Pro for this technique. I'll see you guys in the next video.